How many times have you said, I thought I'd healed from this? I thought I'd gotten past this. I thought I was over this, only to have it come back up again. So last week, I was talking on Spotify about how soul work ain't light work. And this week, that topic, that truth is still heavily with me. So I wanted to talk a little bit more about not just the heaviness and the beauty and the deepness and depth that happens within soul work, but even being able to talk about what happens after that moment of fatigue, or maybe even within that moment of fatigue when it comes to doing deep healing work. So sometimes you have this experience of, I thought I'd gotten past this, I thought I'd gotten over this, because healing happens in a spiral. That is not just a saying out there, it's not just some woo-woo stuff. The spiral is real. And a part of what spiral healing looks like is meeting the same wound, meeting the same pain point, meeting the same growth opportunity over and over again in some respects. And you meet it, notice the spiral, you meet it at a higher level of consciousness. You meet it at a higher level of growth and progress that you've made in your life. You come back to the same issue, to the same trigger, to the same wound, not because you didn't do work to get through it, but because now you're at a place where you can go deeper. Now you're at a place where you can really work to shift whatever that wound has done within the core of you. You're not meeting the same pain point as the same person who experienced it. That's a part of what it can look like to do inner child work. And notice when I say inner child, it doesn't just have to be little kid you. It can be teenage you. It can be adolescent you. It can be young adult you. It can be, 1 year ago you. When you have the same thing come up again, you are meeting it as a different person who experienced it. And that offers a level of healing that is just, it's soul work. It is deep. It's not the same pattern. You get to meet it and arrive at it from a new angle. You get to meet it and arrive at it with more self awareness, with more capacity, with more resources, and maybe even with more compassion. It doesn't mean the feelings aren't the same. I've had a number of wounds that bring me back to the same grief spot. But what I notice within that, I'm not going back to the grief that I experienced before. I am, however, able to notice that each time I meet that grief, I'm able to stay soft. I can stay soft within that grief now in a way that I did not have access to years ago, where grief would cause me to harden, grief would cause me to push away, grief would cause me to want to protect myself in a way that wasn't protective and, quite frankly, was isolating. For some of you, it may not feel like that spiral upward. It may not feel like you're meeting that pain point at a higher level of consciousness. And that can be because you feel stuck. Now, I'm going to go ahead and say this quickly. I do not subscribe to stuck. I tend to hold the belief that you're not stuck, you are resistant. I am not stuck, I am resistant. And sometimes what can feel like being stuck means it's just not time to move yet. Stuck could mean you're not stuck in the same spot, but you're deepening into the spot that you're in. That's not the same thing. And so I want to talk a little bit about the difference of knowing when you are resistant, AKA what people call stuck, versus when you may be deepening. And so when you're resistant, a part of what you'll notice actually is that you're repeating behaviors unconsciously. You're starting to repeat the same things that you did before with this same wound. That's a part of where you can notice you're in a place of resistance. You're in a place of, like, this is just where I'm at right now. I'm not at a higher level of consciousness. I still have these same patterns around this wound. The other piece is you may really notice that you are defensive or avoidant. You just don't want to deal with it. And again, I've talked about soul work is it can be fatiguing and tiring just as well as it can be beautiful and relieving. And so I get it, that defensiveness and that avoidance can come up of, I just don't want to deal with this thing. When it comes to being resistant, there can be this sense of either urgency, like I got to get through this as quickly as possible, or there can be this pattern of shutting down. That's how you can recognize if you are in a pattern or if you are in a place of not experiencing that wound from a higher consciousness, but experiencing that wound from the same place that you were in before. So you might say things like, I don't want to talk about it. I already dealt with that. I'm not going to do that again. I shouldn't have to blah, 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 blah. Or even being able to say, I don't know what's wrong with me. This just keeps coming up. How can you meet yourself as today's version of you, as a version of you that has more awareness, that has more life experience, that has more wisdom somewhere? How can you meet yourself there? It's really not about I'm failing at this or I'm not doing this right. Everything is information. Resistance is information. Feeling stuck is information. And let that invite you to actually pause rather than try to push through. With the deepening, like I said earlier, the grief or the wound may return, but you notice something within you is different. Nothing different has happened outside of you. In the example that I gave earlier, that was my own personal example. When grief around something returns, what I notice within me is that I'm softer within it. It's able to impact me more deeply now than it has been before. That's progress. That is growth. That is healing happening on the spiral. Yes, my boundaries may be tested with the same thing that I've told people 50 times, right? And not drop kickable things, right? But the same thing that I've told people 50 times. Okay, this is giving me another opportunity to not just say the thing that I'm saying within my boundaries, but to really clean up any guilt or shame that may come from setting boundaries with other people. This is what it means to heal along a spiral. And so notice that you can say things like, this still hurts, and I have more than what I had before. This still hurts, but I understand it differently. This still hurts, but I'm able to get to a place where I don't feel so much guilt or shame around it, where I no longer feel like I'm responsible or at fault for it. Where you're able to maybe the point of circling back to it, right? Back to it is so that you can better understand the pattern that happens around it, not just the habits. Maybe something is coming back up because there's more for you to understand about it. And so here's the cool thing about spiral healing. It can happen in that way until it doesn't, until something happens where you have excavated it all. You have gotten down to and through the root of it, as I say. And then all of a sudden, it's not really, but it can feel that way. And then all of a sudden, that's not the thing that comes up as an issue anymore. And for me, I don't believe that the thing doesn't come up again. You just don't register it the same. How powerful is that? How powerful are you? So keep that in mind when it comes to healing, when it comes to fatigue, when it comes to all of that. And let me just say too, some of the tiredness around soul work is some of you, I've been there before, are trying to do root work all the time. You want to heal all the things in all the ways, and sometimes doing it as quickly as possible. And just know every season, every month, every week, every day is not root work time. We get to work in different areas and different parts, and that's a part of how we can manage any fatigue that we may be feeling around healing. Some days it's about healing the leaf. What is it that I need to shift or change or notice in my daily patterns, my little behavioral tweaks, my coping skills, some wellness practices, right? Some days it's about the branches. where it's about taking a look at your identities or how you show up in the roles that you've taken on. Other days, it is this root work. It's about core beliefs. It's about ancestral patterns. It's about deep relational patterns. It is about some core root work stuff. And other days, it's about the soil. It's about attending to what's happening within the larger culture and collective that we are rooted in. But every day ain't root work. Some days you really, really just need to give yourself permission to work in the leaves. I'm thinking of raking up the leaves in my grandmother's yard when I was young. Some days is just about raking up the leaves. What do I need to do today? What would be supportive for me today to just live my life? Every day doesn't have to be root work. So ask yourself, where are you currently working? What do you currently need? And where are you in the spiral? I'll see y'all next time.